Okay, here we are out in the woods on the side of the mountain, and over here is a spring, and we're going to look at redeveloping it, or should I say developing it, because I'm going to show you it wasn't done right the first time. And as we walk up here, we're getting close. This is the spring head. And you can see there's plenty of water coming out, and you can get a good shot in there. There's the source right there under this stump of this old oak tree that has fallen over. And so where's the intake for the water? Well, unfortunately, it is right here. And I will uncover it. If you see this, it's a brass screen in here. And the problem here is that leaves get in here, sediment gets in here. You know, everybody knows what bears do in the woods, and you get all this runoff here from on the side of the hill. It comes right down here into the head of the spring. So we're going to fix this, and it's going to be a process. But a long ways down from here, you can see beyond that spool of schedule 40 1-inch pipe, you see a white cistern, and that is the current cistern. We're going to take a look at that. Okay, well, as a rule, moving water does not freeze, but we're going to take some additional precautions. You can see we're missing a lot of runoff here. These could be feeders, or it could be water that's being missed at the spring head that's going into the pipe. It comes up into the pipe and goes into this cistern here. And a couple things wrong with it. Number one, read before using this tank. And it says this tank can only be used with fertilizers, pesticides, insecticides, and fungicides. And so it gives us a warning not to do it. And that's one of the reasons. This thing may have been bought new, but the problem here is that it's translucent. Light gets into it, and that causes algae growth. You'll notice here a couple things. Bear's been clawing on this thing. It's been trying to get into it. Also, here's our overflow pipe. And this is sucking air because the bear's been chewing on this as well. Okay, I spent most of the day cleaning up around the spring head, and I've got a few more logs to move out of the way tomorrow, because I want to get these out of the way so I can get the tractor around on the backside. What I want to do is divert the water that's coming down through here into the spring head. I want to divert that as a sort of a natural draw through there, and I want to send it down there, so that'll be working on that tomorrow. But look, I've cleaned out the spring head, and so here we are, and you can see the main vein right there. You see the water sort of flowing out there, and we're capturing. This is already about 3-4 inches deep, and yes, this is drinkable. So what we'll do is continue the trench tomorrow. Somewhere in here we'll put the spring box, and we'll look at that, and we'll get this pipe laid in here. And as luck would have it, where I was going to put the cistern, I dug a hole to partially bury that, and wouldn't you know, my hole is right on the top of a spring. So my discharge and overflow lines immediately in the immediate are going to serve as a trench to drain that. And here is the cistern. It's a 350-gallon cistern. There's a water inlet. Remember, moving water does not freeze, and so that will come into the top. And I got this from my friend Stanley at Carolina Water Tank, right out of Asheville. Again, this is 350-gallon. And out of the low side will come the overflow and the water outlet. And so we'll be working on that tomorrow, and I'll see if I can drain this pond I've created and replace this jewel here and maybe send it to where it needs to go. And we'll get on that tomorrow and see how it goes. Okay, it's day 2 of spring development, and so I'm back out at it this morning. And there are a few things I need to do today. The first is deal with the swimming pool I've got here, where I'm going to plant my cistern. My drainage ditch worked to an extent, but I've got to extend that and get this thing relatively dry. Now I'm going to put some number 57 gravel in the bottom of this to help level it. I know that there are a few rocks in the bottom, and with this water tank, I know the cistern, 350 gallons, it's going to be about a ton of weight, and what I don't want is to have one or two rocks in the bottom of this pit to be putting undue pressure on the bottom and punching a hole in it. So I've got to take care of that. The other thing, first project this morning, is up here at the spring head. I'm going to have to go and get my materials and go get my clean number 57 stone ready to go, and bring some stuff up here to begin working on the dam. And so we'll do that and be back shortly. Okay, we're back at it now, and I just wanted to stop for a minute and say why am I doing this video, because it's really slowing me down this morning. And I would have to give thanks first to Engineer 775, who's probably got the best web-based resource on spring development. But I'll have to confess that I'm not as savvy as he. Some things that he knows instinctively that I have questions about, and so I'm thinking that there are probably some other people out here who have the same questions. So perhaps in doing this video, it'll help somebody else out, and that's really the only purpose in doing that. Okay, I've got my tank set. I got the gravel down. Tank is sitting pretty level. And as we walk back up here, we got down, it was about 35 degrees when I started down at the bottom this morning. It's warmed up, it's probably about 40 now. And I'm burning some BTUs. And so the cistern is set. I'm going to go back up here and notice on the intake side of the spring, the intake is up high. And the reason that doesn't make much difference, because you look here, my water is about 60 degrees. I don't know if you can see that or not. But right here, about 60 degrees. All right, a little out of focus. And so with that 60 degree water, if we run that, keep it moving in a pipe, we can make sure that that doesn't freeze. It's not about just moving water, but moving water that is above the air temperature. And when it gets down in the 20s, that can be an issue. So the pipe will actually come out of the ground at a certain point, go up in the air, and go into the water inlet there. And hopefully later today, maybe, I can stop drinking out of my pesticide tank. And we'll be back shortly. Okay, as you can see, my tank is set. And here's part of my trench that goes back to the spring head. But here in the middle is something we haven't talked about. Is a spring box, also available from my friends Kelly and Stanley from Carolina Water Tank. And it's a different variety. And I would recommend again that you see Engineer 775's video on this if you have any questions. But one of the things that you want to make sure of is that the water outlet coming out of the spring box is higher than the highest point of your cistern. And I've double checked that. I'm going to sink this down about 3 more inches, and I'll be set. And on the inside, it looks like this. And one of the things that Stanley told me, and yes, the paper will come out, is to make sure that this is level. It's very important. And so as the water comes in from the spring head and goes in, you see there's a beveled bottom there. The sediment will collect down at the bottom. You can pull out your overflow pipes, which are adjustable. As Engineer 775 notes, you can stir that up and drain it right out. So most people run this thing wide open, so your water level will actually come to the top here. So you have an overflow here, and you want that overflow is to keep from having back pressure in the system. As you can see, there's some tiny holes in here in the side. This is your inlet for your water going to the cistern. And so we'll get back to digging and get this planted and get some pipe laid in here. Okay, here is the spring head, and I have just removed the intake right here, and see, I've still got water flowing pretty well into there. Maybe I'll see it with the harsh shadows. And we're going to put the dam right in here in just a few minutes. But I want to show you what the old intake looked like. And this is the stuff that was being sucked in. Piece of brass screen trying to keep it all out. And we'll have a pretty hefty filter on the front end. And this thing is just going bye-bye. Goes into a 2-inch pipe and was pretty inefficient, if I do say so myself. So we've got that. Let me show you down here. The spring box is installed. I have gotten it leveled, and that's sitting in there, and that's going to be fenced in to keep the bears out. I seem to have a problem with that here. And the two pipes come out of there. They fork right here. One of them is the inflow to the cistern, and the other goes over here to the creek, and that'll be the overflow. And we've got overflows at different stages, and we'll talk about that a little later as this thing progresses. Okay, in preparation for the next phase, what I'm going to do is open up the spring box here. I'm going to remove my paper, my instructions, and I'm going to remove the overflow pipe. Remember, I've got two lines coming out of here. This is the intake that's going to the cistern, and this is the overflow. So as soon as the water gets up to this level, it's going to go out, go up my overflow pipe, and back into the creek. And I'm going to do that because I have not set up the last half of the system beyond the cistern. So I'm going to do that, and while I'm here, let me go ahead and cover this back up. Put my lid back on the spring box, and I'm going to show you what I'm getting ready to install, which is the water catchment system. I just call it the dam, and this came from, again, my friends at Carolina Water Tank, and this is all set up. This is the overflow, and here is the inlet, the outlet, and here are the intakes there. And this looks pretty simple. Could you construct it yourself? Yes, flexible dam piece, and yes, I've got gloves on because I'm back and forth between needing dry hands and having to dig in this creek. So I'm going to go ahead and dig in the spring head now and go ahead and install the dam. Okay, now you see the water catchment system installed, and I've got some water flowing around it, and that's okay. It's going to be backfilling over here, and we're going to shore all that up. But slowly but surely, this thing is coming to pass. Okay, this is slow going, but it is working. See, I've got the dam in a bag of saccrete that I intended on using behind the retainment wall itself. You see, I've had to shove that up in a hole where the water was finding its way around the rocks. But I've got a good intake there. And we'll walk down here to the spring box. Remember, I've diverted everything on the outflow, the overflow of the spring box, to go to the river for right now. And that's what's happening. We've got a decent flow. And so from here, we'll go ahead and start putting gravel in behind the retainment wall. Okay, I'm taking a break now, but I wanted to show you the spring head now. The gravel is now filling up on the inside of the water containment system. It serves two purposes. One, it is a filter, and this is going to be covered with black plastic all across here, and I'll show you that when I get to that stage. The second thing is that it is positive space filler. I can't leave this thing open like this. Stuff will fall in it, but I'm going to create a positive piece of mass here and then cover that up so anything that falls on it will roll off. Otherwise things would be falling in. So that is to come. The intakes now, the overflow and the intakes goes to the cistern are now covered up in here, and I'm getting ready to finish filling this. I measured the output, and it is now putting out about 2 gallons a minute, or about 2,800, somewhere between 2,800 and 3,000 gallons a day. More than enough to take care of livestock as well as a family. Okay, Carolina Water Tank will sell you, when you buy the water containment system, some black poly to put over that. But I wanted to go a little more hefty, so what I did is purchase a 10 by 12 foot section of 20 mil pond liner. So if you were making an ornamental pond for your backyard, that's what you would buy, and it's pretty hefty. So I want to do this thing once. I want to do it right, and not that the other plastic that comes with the containment system is substandard, but I just wanted a little more insurance on that. So I'm going to go ahead and put more gravel on top of this and level this out. Okay, I'm one step closer now. I've filled this in with about 3 or 4 buckets of gravel from the front end loader. Now I'm going to go up here now with the tractor, fill this in with soil, lay another piece of 20mm poly on there to get a good flow and try to divert this water from coming down here. And there's a natural draw along the side here. We'll try to divert it all back up there to keep this away. Okay, it's day 3 of spring development. Ran out of time yesterday, and as luck would have it, the system blew in off the coast last night. So I've got a muddy mess here, but I'm going to try to get this thing finished up. The last thing I need to do today to start filling the new cistern is to attach the water outlet line and the water overflow line coming out of that. So let's take a look at that real quick. The work I intended to do by tractor, unfortunately, has got to be done by hand. So let's take a look at what we have to do. Okay, that comes in. This will be filled in, and I've got a bit of a river flowing out of here. I'll attach these 2 lines, run them down, connect these things, and be done with this pesticide tank once and for all. I have to come back and clean up some of this stuff later. So let's get on with it now and see if we can get this thing wrapped up. And again, thanks to Engineer 775 and our friends at Carolina Water Tank for making a good system for us. Well, after several painful and very wet hours, most of the work is done. All of the trenching through the mud, everything wasn't any fun. The tractor was of no use up here. But I want to show you some things about the 350-gallon cistern, and this is true with all of the Carolina Water Tank cisterns. If you're going to get yourself a cistern for drinking water, don't get a pickle barrel or anything like that. Use that for your livestock or for watering your garden. This is a vented lid, 16-inch manway, which is great if you need to get in. You have to climb in here, but if you need to get an arm in there or whatever and service, and look at that, there's attention to detail. You'll never get dirt on that cover. And here you see the cistern is filled. Over here on the side you'll see the overflow pipe, and that connects to the line that we've laid in the trench that we'll have to come back and fill later. And if you can see it, the intake is right there, and the thing is just about the capacity. So we'll say goodbye to this beast over here and let that go back for pesticide use. One of the things I do want to show you is the spring box now working at capacity. I had to modify that, and if you saw Engineer 775's video, you saw that he had to do the same thing. We got about a 1/10 of an inch of rain early this morning, and it doubled my output to about 4 gallons an hour. And here you say I had to tune it some, but here it is operating pretty much at capacity. The spring's doing just well. So here we go. 4 gallons an hour. And spring, it needs to be, we'll fill this in. This is the old pipe that came out. And there's a spring head up there, all filled in. We'll backfill that, grade it so that runoff goes in another direction, and we're ready to go.